A bank is a place that lends you an umbrella when the weather is fair, demands it back the moment the storm hits, and then tries to sell you a raincoat and some overpriced boots. It sounds cynical, doesn't it? But no, it isn't wrong, and it certainly isn't strange. That is exactly how a bank operates. That is how they generate trillions of dollars every single year. And in one way or another, both you and I are actively helping them make a fortune every single second. So, do you know how banks actually work? How they turn your passive deposit into their massive payout? Let me let you in on the secret. The first income source is the classic. It's the bread and butter. In the industry, they call it net interest margin. I just call it the spread. They buy money from you, the depositor, at a discount. Let's say you deposit $10,000. In a standard savings account, they might pay you, if they are feeling incredibly generous, around 0.5% to 4% interest a year. 5 minutes later, they turn around and sell that same money to someone else at a premium. Let's say Sarah needs to buy a car or she maxed out her credit card buying things she doesn't need. The bank lends her your money, but charges her 15%, 20%, or even 30% interest. They pay you pennies. They charge Sarah a fortune. They pocket the massive difference in the middle. For a giant like Bank of America or Wells Fargo, this isn't small change. When you do this with $100 billion in deposits, that spread alone generates billions in risk-free profit. They are essentially getting paid billions of dollars just to watch other people swap money. But interest is just the appetizer. The main course comes from two other places. First, there's the nickel and dime game. ATM fees, wire transfer fees, overdraft fees, account maintenance fees. Individually, they're just annoying. $3 here, $10 there. But when you multiply $10 by 50 million customers, you're not talking about pocket change anymore. You're talking about a mountain of cash. But wait, you might say, my bank is cool. They give me free checking, free transfers, and high interest rates. They're losing money on me. Oh, you sweet summer child. The truth is, they're just tossing out a tiny shrimp to reel in a giant shark. They will happily lose money on your free checking account. They will eat the cost of your transfers. Why? Because the goal isn't the fee. The goal is the capital. They want you to park your life savings with them. The moment your money sits in their vault, they win. They take that free money and pour it into the real casino. Besides lending to people like Sarah, banks take massive amounts of cash and pour it into high-stakes investments. 1. Gold and Forex. They trade billions in foreign currency, profiting from tiny fluctuations between the dollar, the euro, and gold. 2. The stock market. They have entire divisions buying and selling stocks faster than you can blink. 3. Buying the country. They take your money and buy corporate bonds, or even buy national debt. That's right, they lend money to the government itself by buying treasury bonds. 4. Interbank lending. Sometimes they even lend money to other banks just to earn interest on idle cash overnight. While you're celebrating your free transfer, they're using your balance to trade on Wall Street, aiming for massive returns that make your 0.5% interest look like a rounding error. Now, everything we just talked about is standard business. But here's the part that most people never think about. This is the money multiplier. It sounds strange, but banks actually create new money for society. Here's the secret. When you deposit $10,000, the bank doesn't lock $10,000 in a vault with your name on it. The law says they only have to keep a tiny fraction of it in reserve, let's say 10%. So they keep $1,000. They lend the other $9,000 to Dave. Now Dave takes the money and buys a used Tesla from Mike. Now Mike has $9,000 cash. What does he do? He deposits it into his bank. Now Mike's bank sees a new deposit. They keep 10% in reserve, and they lend out the remaining $8,100 to Susan. Susan takes that money to buy some land from Tom. Tom deposits it into his bank. His bank keeps 10% and lends out the rest. Do you see what's happening? It started with your single $10,000 deposit, but now there's $10,000 in your account, plus $9,000 in Mike's account, plus $8,100 in Tom's account. Round and round it goes. From your initial deposit, the banking system has magically created nearly $100,000 of commercial money circulating in the economy. This process is the oxygen of the modern economy. It allows businesses to expand and people to buy homes. And naturally, this means they make exponentially more profit. But this magic trick has a flaw, a fatal one. Because the bank only keeps a tiny fraction of the cash, if everyone decides to wake up on that same Tuesday and withdraw their money, the math breaks. The money isn't there. It's in Dave's Tesla and Susan's land. That is a bank run. It's what happened in 1929, in 2008, and it creates a panic that can collapse an entire economy. However, as long as we trust the system and stick to digital transactions, the machine keeps humming along. So banks aren't just boring buildings. They're the engine of the economy, designed to turn your passive savings into their active profit. The goal isn't to beat them. It's to understand the game so you don't get played. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn how to be your own bank, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next